Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to do something a little bit different while staying on the same sort of like road or path of talking about moving to a country and pick up on a very commonly asked about country. As you can see from my subtle hints, I am talking about Canada, the land I call my home. So with my maple leaves and my red and what was meant to be white but turned out to be gold because I'm a girl and I have weird moods, I don't know, whatever, it matches a scarf. So we're talking about Canada. So today what I want to do is just sort of open up a dialogue about Canada and explain to you guys, hey, what is Canada really like? I mean, are there igloos everywhere? What are the people like? Are Canadians nice? What's going on? What is this country called Canada really about? So Canada is a massive country. I don't know the actual length or width of it, but it's a big country. And there aren't as many people on that landmass as there could be. So there's room for all of y'all who are thinking about moving there. Canada is very cold because it is close to the North Pole. So the further up north you go, the colder it gets, which is why it's not very populated in a lot of areas which get a lot of snow. So the main cities to look at in Canada, we have Toronto on the east coast, then we have Montreal, then we have Calgary, and we have Vancouver, which is on the west coast. So we have two on the east and two on the west, and hopefully I'm not forgetting any city. They're all actually incredibly different, and they all have their own sort of like, you know, their own little energy, and there's something unique about each of them. So Toronto is like the industrial capital. And if that name doesn't explain anything to you, there's a lot of buildings. There's people in suits and they have briefcases everywhere. There's a lot of hustle bustle, there's a lot of like, there's the subway, there's the tram, there's the buses, there's the traffic, there's the people walking. It's just always going on. There's always something happening. It's very, very vibrant. There's always something happening with some culture or ethnicity or, there's events all the time. And if you're looking to be a part of like something that's a very small sister version of New York City, that's what Toronto is like. And I haven't seen any other city that quite resembles the whole sort of Toronto style like that, unless you were to travel to India, and I think Bombay is very similar to that as well. But in terms of like, with all the other aspects and components of a developed country, I think Toronto is very, very similar to that, but also has its unique Canadian characteristic. Canadians aren't as like outgoing and, open as a lot of Americans would be, for instance. So they're not like closed-minded or anything. I think Canadians are very accepting. They're very welcoming of cultures, of different diversities, races, sexual orientations. So it's a great place to be, especially if you want to be who you are without being judged for it. I think Canada is really good for that. And it's, Toronto is one of those cities where you will meet people from so many different backgrounds in the span of a day, and it will just blow your mind. It's so incredible. There's always something going on. There is a lot to do, and there's a lot of shopping, a lot of people. It has the, I guess, the drawback of having snow. Like, it does get pretty cold in Toronto. But the thing is, like, when you're living in the heart of the metropolitan, you actually don't feel it as much because, the city does a good job of making sure the roads are clean, the sidewalks have been salted so you don't slip and fall and sue the city. you know, everything works as it's meant to. You get to your job on time, you get to school on time. So people do still function just like they would in the summer, you know, and things are done. So it's not something to really worry about, and don't let the snow keep you from moving to a city that you really might actually like. Montreal is the same in that way, where that it does get a lot of the cold weather, but Montreal is so beautiful. It's like Europe in North America. And the reason for that is because Montreal was colonized by the French. So Quebec was colonized by the French. Wow. So all of Montreal is a francophone, which means everybody speaks French primarily. Very few people, or not as many people rather, speak English. And Canada is a bilingual country. So people speak English and French for the most part. So if you're coming from France, Quebec might be the ideal place for you because most people there do speak French. However, it is Quebecois French, so it does not sound the same. Montreal is very beautiful. People in Montreal are always so well dressed. It's just the people are beautiful, the city is beautiful. There's so many beautiful historical artifacts. It has one of the greatest university, McGill University there. There's so much shopping, there's so much culture in Montreal that you actually feel like it's an out of Canada experience in a way, which is not meant to disrespect Canada in any way, because Canada is amazing. If you go to Calgary, which is on the west, Calgary gets like dry, cold weather to the point where you can actually get nosebleeds, and it's not to scare you away from the weather or the city, but it is like that. It does have a lot of diversity and culture, but it's not really the hub if you're looking to be in the industrial capital or it to be in the center of art and culture. There is still a lot going on, and it is a growing and sprouting city. It's not as crazy as Montreal or Toronto or even Vancouver. Vancouver is where a lot of the artists go, you know, performing arts, artists, a lot of, you know, very liberal, free-spirited people tend to get drawn to Vancouver, and I think it has to do with the energy there as well. It is along the coast, and it doesn't get much snow. It's more like British weather, I guess, where it's more rainy. I was going to say windy. It's rainy and windy. You know, it's along the coastline, so you can go and chill at the beach. People go surfing there. And then if you go north up to Whistler, where the Olympics were held, if you're interested in snowboarding or skiing, you can actually do things like that as well. The other thing about Calgary that I forgot to mention is that it's like right next to or very close to Banff, which is where the Rocky Mountains are, and honestly, it is so beautiful. It is by far, to this day, one of my favorite places on this planet. It is absolutely gorgeous. Of course, it's very cold when you go there, but it's so beautiful. And I think that a lot of people think that the cold is one of the reasons why they don't want to go to Canada. And I understand, especially if you're like older, or, you know, you're someone who likes to surf every single day and you have that sort of lifestyle. But if you aren't inhibited in those sort of ways, I would definitely recommend even visiting Canada. And of course, they're not like paying me to say any of this, because otherwise I would look a lot more professional. But it's a really beautiful country, and it has sort of accommodated itself to make sure that people can get things done even when it's cold outside. And obviously when things get extremely cold, things do shut down and you get to stay home with your loved ones and drink hot chocolate and watch TV and sit in front of the fire, and it's amazing. I think Christmas in Canada is one of the most beautiful Christmases that I've seen, and it's so beautiful. I know I'm hitting the almost 10-minute mark on this video, and I've only really covered the 4 cities, but I wanted to just kind of introduce you guys to what Canada is like. Of course, there's a whole bunch of other cities and things to do in Canada. You know, there's the Newfoundland, They're like the islands on the east side. You know, you can go to Victoria, which is another island on the west side, and it's not just about islands. There's places like Ottawa, which is where I lived for a big part of my schooling, which is the capital, and a lot of people don't know about it. So there is something to do no matter where you go, and it is a beautiful, beautiful country with a lot to offer. People are so nice there. You know, Canadians really respect and appreciate the concept of personal space, and often and most likely if you bump into a Canadian, they will apologize. They understand the concept of saying, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, thank you." Customer service is so great. People are lovely, and Canadians are just warm people. They're good people. It's a safe country, and it's a beautiful country to visit. So I'm going to end this video here on a very sort of general point, I guess. And if you guys have very specific questions or any specific questions about Canada or even Australia, you can leave them here, or you can check out my videos about Australia and leave them there, and I'm happy to answer those either in the form of a video or in person or in writing or whatever. Please, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like and be sure to subscribe, because I am going to be posting these videos, and I do every single week. And I'm trying to cover all the different countries that I have lived in the short life that I've had so far, and hopefully there's way more to come. So I will keep these coming. Please keep your love coming. Thank you so much for all your support. And please don't forget to leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Leave your questions, and I will be sure to answer them. And until next time, thank you so much again for your love. It means so much to me. Take care.